What's happened? I don't know.
That was the jingle.
Oh, I thought you...
Did you think I was having a breakdown?
I thought you were having a...
Sorry. You're really lucky, because I was about to end it with "Bye, brothers."
I quite like that.
Thank you.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Blood Brothers podcast, here to talk about crime again. It's me, Sean Coleman. We've got Chris MacDonald, author.
Hello.
And we've got Rob Parker, author.
Good day to you.
And joining us for the entire session is the amazing author, Noelle Holten.
Hello.
Hello.
Hiya, Noelle. It's good to have you on.
It's because I'm laughing that I have to. Hello.
She started laughing before we even started talking. So, as those of you who listened last week will know, there is much giggling, but I think we need that in these times. And this podcast is sort of designed to give you a little insight into the background of being a crime writer, and also what makes us tick, and what drives us on, and what we're reading and what we love, and just a general hour in technically the pub with the now 4 of us.
Yes.
Hurrah! So welcome everybody. First off, we've moved on a week, and we all know we read really quickly. So where are we at? What are you reading?
Well, I'm reading an absolute cracker at the minute.
Oh no! Oh, we weren't going to talk about this.
Well, I've not finished, so I can't give a critique yet, but I'm reading Sean Coleman's The Cuckoo Wood, which I'm racing through. It's really, really good. Not that I'm surprised, obviously, but...
It's always that sort of weird note of surprise when people say that, though, isn't it? That's really good, yeah.
Yeah. The strange thing that I am finding is, in my head, when I'm reading it in your voice.
Hello, friend.
Which is great. It's how all books should be read, I think, from now on.
In my voice.
Yeah, you should narrate everything.
Okay, that's a bit weird, but sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading at the minute, and it's very enjoyable.
Good. Rob, what are you reading?
I am reading at the moment. I'm reading Cut to the Bone, which is the new D.I. Meg... Why am I holding it up? No one can see this. It's ridiculous.
We can see it.
You guys can see it. It's the new D.I. Meg Dalton book by Ros Watkins. I'm about halfway through. Yeah, I'm hook, line and sinkered with this one. It's animal rights issues, a fascinating murder mystery with a boatload of family issues and trauma, and a really spooky subplot. It's going to be one of the big ones this summer. Big thanks to Ros herself, her editor, Emily Kitchen, and all those at HQ Stories for sending me a copy. It's absolutely ace.
Nice. What are you reading, Noah?
I am reading Power Play by Tony Kent. And yeah, I'm coming up to the last 100 pages, so things are kind of speeding up to wind up. And Tony's books are fantastic. I've read the previous 2. This one comes out April 14th, I believe. And it's kind of like a legal thriller crossed with a conspiracy action thriller. And it's just all go, go, go. So I'm loving it.
That's good.
It's
cool.
I also managed to get a read of it, Noelle. It's a blockbuster on a page, isn't it, that book?
Yeah. Tony's a fantastic writer. You really get invested in his characters, Joe Dempsey, who's the kind of action side of things. And then you've got Michael Devlin, who is the legal side of things, and the 2 of them together are just fantastic. So
yeah.
Oh, amazing!
Mm-hmm.
I continue to be swamped in submissions. No sweeping announcements like we had last week, but we've sent out a good handful of full requests, which is great, and basically all of my free time is spent reading submissions. So, and then that takes us to our big book news of the week. Obviously, we had last time with big book news. So, for us, our big book news is that we've signed Sharon Bairden.
Yay!
And her book is awesome, and everybody loves her. And now she's had to change her profile to say author as well as blog.
Oh, that's so
reviewer.
cool.
Yeah.
She's had some
brilliant.
big old, like Linwood Barkley knows about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that was your doing, wasn't it, Noelle?
It might have been.
It might have been, yeah. You're too modest. Oh, no, it was so good. When Sean said this on the last record, we just, it was like, oh, how do I not say anything? I don't know how not to say anything. You know what I mean? Oh, it was so great.
I know. I was delighted to hear that news because I knew someone would pick it up, and I know that she was really pleased that you did, Sean, because she was talking about Red Dogs quite a bit, and I kind of said that to you when we met at the Tamworth thing because I knew she worked really hard on the rewrites and stuff. I mean, the first version was fantastic.
Yeah,
but
we already accepted it on the first version.
Yeah,
and she said she'd had some advice and she really wanted to see if the new direction would form it. And honestly, it's incredible.
It is.
I mean, it has changed it, and it is incredible. You've read the whole thing, right? So.
I can tell you also that Angie Marsens has read it and expect an endorsement coming your way because she loved it.
Very cool.
There's really nothing not to love. It's chilling, but
when's it out?
November.
Same month as your next book, Chris MacDonald.
Big double hitter.
Oh, there's gonna be some parties, y'all.
Yeah, for Red Dog authors, it's a shame that.
Am I not? Right, Noelle, we're going to have our own party somewhere else. I think we're not invited.
No, I think we need to bring you out as there's the compere and host of the multi-book launch. I think we're expecting a road trip for November.
Excellent. My Guinness has just exploded, folks. I'm so sorry.
It's a boy!
It's all in my lap.
Oh, God.
Sure. That's what it is.
I'm making a real mess. This is so professional. I'm sorry. It's in my headphones.
How? They're in your ears?
No, I'm not, the bit down here. The bit.
Oh God!
Don't be showing us any bits down there, Rob.
We don't want to look at
sorry.
bits down there. What is wrong with you? Noelle, I had to educate these gentlemen on Sunday about the etiquette of filth. They're both very innocent.
I learned a lot.
Excellent.
I mean, I think what I learned is that anything can be a bit rude if you have a particular way of looking at it, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're Sean Coleman.
If you're Sean Coleman. Somebody else has got to have book news. It can't just all be about the joy of Red Dog.
I've got something positive I wanted to bring up, if that's okay.
Please do.
I've been really, really impressed. Obviously, no one's allowed to go anywhere or do anything or anything like that, quite rightly at the moment. But some of the ingenuity I've been seeing online with people getting stuff going so that we can all enjoy our book event. And two things that I wanted to mention, or two people really, are Vic Watson and Kelly Lacey. They've both taken the bull by the horns, and they've got respective virtual Noir at the Bar events coming up. I think Vic's got one every week now onwards, I think, until this is resolved. And Kelly's got her mighty Noir at the Bar Edinburgh army all coming together, and by the end of the month she'll be up and running as well. So, yeah, these are going to be brilliant, and these are going to be crime writers reading their works to you direct from their homes into yours. And it's something I don't think we've not kind of seen before. So I'm really excited to see how they play out, and big shout out to them both for galvanising this community in these times.
Don't forget Jackie Collins. She's in on that.
I would never, ever forget Dr. Noir herself. I would never
Absolutely.
Ever forget.
So Sharon is reading tomorrow at a Noir in the Bar. So if you want a sneak preview of Sins of the Father.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is in Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
So Thursday, as we record it today, Wednesday, for transmission tomorrow. So Sharon is reading tonight.
Gotcha.
I've just come over all Graham Norton. He always has to do that. Sorry. And Rob, you're also Thursday, right? Your
I've got the Northern Crime Syndicate's got its sort of debut panel. In fact, we had I think it's 6 or 7 events booked in all over the place. Each one obviously has been cancelled. So we're doing a virtual one tomorrow night on Facebook.com/Northern Crime Syndicate. So thanks for the heads up there, man. I appreciate that. It would have been smack bottoms all round if I hadn't have mentioned it.
Don't go promoting somebody else's Thursday night thing and then not But is that available? We don't have to do that live, right? We can come back to that.
Always, okay. Always.
Good.
Excellent.
Well, there you go. That's 2 book things for tomorrow. So listen, Noelle, we all love your work. Oh. You know that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to you quite seriously now about your work. Okay. As seriously as we ever can talk to anyone. So your second in your Maggie Jameson series was out on the 14th of March, right? So it's fresh out.
Yeah.
In ebook. And when's the paperback and
May 14th. It's out in ebook and Audible now.
Tell us a little bit about Dead Wrong, the new one.
It is the second book in my series, the DC Maggie Jameson series. And it's basically about Maggie had, let me just kind of backtrack a little bit. In Dead Inside, I mentioned a serial killer, Bill Raven, that Maggie had, thought she had closed the door on. It had been a couple of years. But it was a case that kind of stuck in her head because it was really odd and gruesome. The guy confessed to killing 3 women, named the women. The women were missing. And he said he chopped up their body parts. And, based on his conviction and a bit of forensics, he was convicted and got a life sentence. Forward 2.5 years later, and body parts start showing up in Staffordshire. And the first victim they come across happens to be the first victim that he said he had killed. And it was a fresh kill. The body wasn't frozen. It wasn't. So he didn't actually kill her, or did he? Is there something else going on? So, that's what it's about.
That central conceit is ace, though. That a crime continues to happen with the exact same MO as a killer who's already inside. That it's like it's a gold standard hook. That it's ace.
Mm. Yeah, so
fantastic.
I kind of got the idea from I worked on a case in probation in my early years with a kind of similar. This guy confessed to dismembering his partner and spreading her body parts around in the trash, and he was convicted. Her body was never found, but so it was kind of loosely based on that.
Wow. It reminds me of when I moved to a flat in Camden when I lived in London, and on the week I moved in, there was a huge kerfuffle outside by the bins.
Oh yeah.
And the police uncovered around the bins of Camden most parts of a body, and then weeks later they found the head in the canal.
Ooh. Yeah.
And my mum was like, "Why have you moved here?" It seemed nice. It was above a chip shop.
What fascinated me about because I've been lucky enough to read both your books, Noelle, and what fascinated me is where Noelle Holten stops and where Maggie Jameson carries on. The first book obviously was a lot of the probation system, and I love it when a series does something different. So to go a whole new direction back with her as a DC in a more police procedural direction, had me totally fascinated. But how much of your work has gone into it?
I think a lot has gone into it because even throughout the whole series, there is always going to be that multi-agency approach. And when I was in probation, I was based in a police station. And I managed 2 teams. One of my teams was outside of the police station, but I had a team inside the police station. And so I worked quite closely with the police, but we also had drug and alcohol services on site. I was a member of the Serious Case Review Board with Social Services, so I worked quite closely with them. So I kind of wanted that throughout the whole series because when police are solving crimes, it's not just them. they will call up probation if the guy's on a license or a community order. They'll call up the drug services to find out, has he or she relapsed or whatever. So I wanted to get that element that you don't really see involved throughout the series. So each book will have some little link and mix with the other agencies, but clearly it being DC Maggie Jameson, I kind of have to make her a little bit more prominent.
Yeah, because we talked when we were in Tamworth about the fact that when you'd started with Dead Inside, your idea had been more to sort of roll a character as introduced in the background of one book that becomes central in the next, a little bit like that series The Street, which I think is, and I think that's a really fascinating conceit. And I understand that everybody needs a character to hold on to go, here's our old familiar, and there's a serial element. But I think you have such a vast and rich experience of all of those other agencies and all those peripherals to the crime investigation, if you like, that you can still do that across your books with the central character being your linchpin. But
and the third book that's out in October, I can't tell you the title or anything, but if you looked on Amazon, you might see it there.
Yeah, Cover to be Revealed is all I saw. That's a weird title.
Is it already up there?
Yeah, but the blurb and everything's not on there. But that's more about I pull in Kate in terms of that book, so it's kind of Maggie and Kate. And in book 4 that I'm currently writing, Lucy's back, so she's quite central, working with Maggie, and a little bit more of the probation service and Sarah. So watch this space.
I think it's great.
This lends a level of authenticity that other books might not be able to bring to the table, which and that because you've not just you're not just talking the talk here, you've walked the walk as well, and I love books by people who've done that, you know what I mean?
I think you can tell sometimes when someone's had their, I was going to say fingers in the pie, but probably not the right thing.
Oh, dear.
Perfect for this podcast.
I saw Sean's face change immediately.
Not on this podcast, Noelle. That's opening yourself up to a world of pain.
My bad. Edit that out. But you can kind of tell when someone's worked in the field or had some experience, because a lot of the time I find with some books, especially new authors perhaps, who have done a lot of research and they kind of want to include all that research, because when you do research, you do want to include it in there. But sometimes if you don't kind of mix it up in dialogue or something, it just kind of seems like, oh, here's a bunch of info I looked at. I'm going to stick it here. Because I want you to know how much work I put into it. And that kind of takes away, if it doesn't flow properly, it just takes away from the book itself.
It changes the voice as well. So you're sort of writing in your voice and your character's voice, and then all of a sudden you sort of cut and paste Wikipedia because you found that. It's not that bad, but you know what I mean.
Everything should be there for a story purpose, shouldn't it? And if it's not progressing the story, it shouldn't be there. So I know just what you mean. I know, like sometimes, some of the most ridiculous facts that I want to include in there, and then I take them out, and then I sometimes look back and I go like, oh my god, it's like reading Alan Partridge's biography. Interestingly enough, the Boeing 747.
You can just feel you pushing your glasses up your nose.
Well, I did a lot of research on dismemberment, and I watched a lot of in my spare time. And I watched a lot of videos and stuff, and I wanted to kind of include it in the book, and my editor went, "This is too gross, take it out."
Yeah.
I thought, oh, really? Crap. Yeah. I was kind of gutted.
I was going to ask you about that sort of editor process, because you obviously, you have the sort of end voice on what happened in the probation service and, your previous work experience on that, but then the editor must come in and go, yawn, we don't need that bit. Or are they like, hang on, you haven't explained this in any way clearly enough for a lay person to understand what this all is.
Yeah.
So which way does it work with your editor?
Kind of both ways. For the first book, in Dead Inside, I had a shed load of acronyms because that was my speak for years. So, and I used to talk to people that way as well. And they'd be like, you do realize I don't work for probation, right? So I kind of had to spell things out a lot in Dead Inside because in these agencies, we do use a ton of acronyms and everybody understands what you're saying. So I had to remember that the readers aren't going to know that. So I had to clear a lot of that up. And there was also things that made me laugh, like sometimes the copy editors or whatever would say, oh, that would never happen. And I went, yeah, it would, and it does, and it's staying because that's what happens. Or they'll say things like, sometimes I know, and I know what I'm trying to say in my head. I just haven't explained it on the paper. But when you're kind of writing, you forget. You think as you're writing. Have you ever done that where you've got something in your head, you're writing along, you think, yeah, that works. And then the editor comes back and goes, okay, what exactly you're trying to say here? And I read it over and I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't actually explain it at all. So I have to do that a lot of the time as well.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about, just nobody else.
You get those little notes, you go, what does this mean? And you read it and go, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I sent one of the Bracken books to my publishers, and I got it back saying, "What was this? What is this?" And I'd literally just left in there and totally forgotten. Bracken says something cool. And that's what I did.
I've done that.
That's most of everybody's first draft, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Something really good happens here, or she comes in, says something funny, and walks out.
Yeah.
Mine is usually hooky ending, and if I forget to take it out, my editor will go, and what is that hooky ending then? Are you going to stick it in or not? And oh, crap.
Yeah. So all of my books, when I'm doing the first draft, ends with denouement, blah, blah, happy ending. Like any good massage. People stop spitting their drinks out on their
Again, I'm going back to Partridge here. And now for the denouement.
Blah, blah, happy ending.
Oh, my Lord.
Can I ask a book question?
Please do.
So you mentioned, and I've read both of them as well, so but you mentioned in Dead Inside that the Bill Raven character is hinted at, and then in Dead Wrong, it's about that, and then at the end of Dead Wrong, it hints at something else. So how far in advance do you plan?
Oh, good question.
I don't plan at all. I write the first chapter and I write the last chapter, and then I just fill in everything in the middle. I don't write in order. Everything's kind of like in my head and onto the laptop as it comes. So editing for me can be a bit of a nightmare because look at Sean.
It's really freaking me out. You've told me this before and I think I might die.
Yeah. It's just what I tried for Dead Wrong. I tried to write in order and I got up to 20,000 words. And then I just hit this block and I was like, what am I? But as soon as I went back into what works for me, my normal mode of total chaos, the book came out. So I have to work that way. Yeah,
I love that. Everybody's got this. So we had this conversation last week. The other two guys are real pansters. They just go, right, I've written that scene. What's happening next? Who knows? Let's go. And I'm like a meticulous plotter, and I know our author Helene is an even more meticulous plotter than me. So she'll send me like a 13,000 word plot outline before we even start on the scene, whereas Chris just sends me the odd random scene. Hey, I've done this chapter. Read it.
Send me some praise so that'll go on.
That wasn't my impression of a Northern Irish accent, by the way. I was just... Chris has heard my Northern Irish accent and he said it was impressive, but it's very offensive.
Oh my God.
Surprisingly, it's very offensive.
Historically accurate, though.
It's got nothing to do with metal ladders.
Now, which one of you spoke on this video?
That's my catchphrase.
When I was doing an acting course, they always said you had to have a thing to get into an accent, and for Northern Irish, it was always partial automatic, which I thought was. Do you remember the old washing powder? Partial automatic. How many Irish people talk about that on a daily basis?
The one that like I told people to say at uni was "How now, brown cow."
I'm sorry, what's that now?
When I listened last week, I wondered who the Irish guy was because I'd never actually spoke to Chris.
I know,
the Irish guy. And then I was waiting for Chris to speak, and then I was like, "Oh shit, that is Chris." Oh, sorry.
What I realised last week, Noelle, is that we've got the three voices on this. You've got sexy, that's Chris; smooth, that's Sean; and Northern Chump, which is me.
Yeah, but you're the one with the laugh that everybody comes back for.
Yeah,
You made me spray the Guinness. I can't help it. Like, what would I do? I can't do a fake one. That's
No, please don't do that.
That's got to be honest. It's got to come from right from the belly.
Your laugh is honest, and we love it.
Oh, good.
But there you go. When I met Noelle, she said, "Oh, you sound posh." I was like, "Oh,
yeah, doesn't he?"
Yeah, absolutely.
But how? I'm just foreign.
I'm foreign too, but I don't sound posh.
No, you sound foreign.
Yeah. I think it's because you have a mixture of accents, so you do sound very. I mean, originally I thought London posh. That's what you sounded like.
I'm terribly well spoken. I can only answer very posh things.
See, that's chameleonic. I don't know where I am anymore. I'm confused.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the news. This is a public service. Listen, I want to do some quickfire things with Noelle. Because I love a bit of quickfire.
Ooh,
Don't be rude. Unbelievable. Right, cafe versus solitude for writing.
Solitude.
Excellent. Cats versus dogs?
Oh, I love both, but dog.
Yes. Wine versus gin?
Gin.
Crime versus romance?
What was that?
Crime versus romance.
Oh, crime. I thought you said crown versus romance.
No, it's because...
What the hell is that?
Well, that's just posh. Is what that is.
Yeah.
And if you aren't willing to compare the monarchy to the romance, I don't know what the hell. Well, forget it. What book do you wish you had written?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm going to ask all of you this question.
Crime and Publishment by Dostoevsky is my favorite book, and I wish I had written it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big hitter.
Yeah, I love it. I love the whole moral dilemma and how it was all set out. It is. I've read it about 25 times, so I wish I had written that.
Yeah, that's it. Are you getting props, Rob?
Because I was stuck in my head and between two, and I just needed to work out which one I was going for.
Okay, tell us.
The Dead Yard by Adrian McKinty.
Say it louder and clearer.
Is it the Northern? Yes.
No, it's the fact that you were chewing your knuckles at the time.
Oh, sorry. I was so stressed out about the decision. No, it's The Dead Yard by Adrian McKinty, the second in the Michael Forsyth saga.
Oh, wow. Why do you wish you'd written it?
Oh, it's my favourite book. No, it's not my favourite book. My favourite book is Jaws, but it's like the crime book I wish I'd written. So, yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's the one that probably inspires me the most, I think.
What about you, Chris?
God, I don't know. In recent times, Worst Case Scenario, Helen Fitzgerald.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely hilarious and
and
just
so dead on probation.
Is it?
Nailed it.
I just the whole way through, it's such delicate subject matter at times, and there's filthy bits in it, and there's hilarious bits. I just think she's incredible. So yeah, probably that one.
Wow.
Cool.
What about you, Sean?
Slightly more childish. I think the Book of Milliganimals by Spike Milligan.
Oh, nice.
All right.
I thought you were going to say, like, the dinosaur that pooped a planet or something.
No.
Which is amazing, by the way.
Which
Absolutely
obviously is great. No. That was, I think, for me, that was when I was a kid, my uncle brought that over when he came on a visit to South Africa, and I fell in love with it. And I was at the stage where I was reading on my own, but they were really short and just the most ridiculously irreverent little poems and stories and things. There's one that goes, a baby sardine saw her first submarine. She was scared and watched through a peephole. Oh, come, 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 said the sardine's mum. It's only a tin full of people.
Lovely.
That's it. You go, I've read that. Done my reading for today. Thanks very much. It's brilliant. They're great little poems for enthusiastic young readers. So that's what started me off on stupidity and making stuff up.
Nice.
I was hoping Chris was going to say you wish he'd written The Cuckoowood, but obviously he hasn't finished it yet.
I've not read enough of it yet. So.
I'm just teasing you.
If I could borrow some of the beautiful language from it, and I might do for my third book, I might repurpose it.
All of those words are free. You just go in the dictionary and you'll find them all.
I'll mix them up a little bit so it's a very similar story.
Rob
is spitting his Guinness again.
We nearly had a big problem. We nearly had a very big problem.
That's what she said.
You're getting the hang of it, Noelle. You're getting the hang of it.
I always had it, Rob. I always had it.
I know.
She's always had the hang of it.
I'm coughing up a gut.
Oh no, you're not infected, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Good, because you've got work tomorrow.
Do I? Do you know my rota?
No, I just like to scare you.
I would send a Noelle before. I'm not in work now for we just got an email saying we're not in during the Easter holidays at all. And then, so I've got at least 2.5 weeks sitting easy.
Wow.
Although if my boss is listening, I am writing reports.
Also, by sitting easy, you mean writing Erica Piper 3.
Obviously, right? Yes, I've started. So yeah, we keep going with that.
Yeah. How's it going, Craig, so far?
I've written the title.
You are smashing
but it's a start, and I've made a folder on my laptop ready to go. So yeah.
And I've made a folder on the Red Dog server that says title needs changing. So we're already editing.
Actually, I need to bring this up. You know, Sean, last week you were telling me about the sprints. You know, the 25 minutes, lock off your internet. That has sorted me right out. I am flying now.
Cool.
Thank you very much. I am flying now. Thank you.
It's good, isn't it? It really.
Oh yeah. So I've already done 2,000 words today. So I'm gold today. I can enjoy my Guinness and chat about rude things.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, it really. It was part of a discussion with some other writers on another group, and I was just saying actually that for the way my brain works, and because I know I've plotted stuff out and I know what I'm going to sit down and write that day. Writing in sprints means that I just need things. I need accountability. So I need to not have the internet on and know that if I try and turn it on or listen to a ping or do anything else that happened in those 25 minutes, I'm just cheating myself. And you get so there was a story, I can't remember which famous artist was talking about the fact that if you don't sketch every day, you lose the muscle memory and the speed and the process and everything else. So you notice that if you go away for a holiday for 2 weeks or a week or whatever, and you come back and those first 2 days you're like, 32 words. Are you sure?
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean.
If you're sort of rolling in sprints, you go, right, well, for the first day back, I'll do sprints where I'm only doing 300 words every 25 minutes. But 500 is easily manageable, and usually you can skip ahead, so you're doing sort of 600-700 on each. You do pull out sort of three to 4,000 words a day.
No, seriously, you're absolutely right. I hit 800 in one of my sprints this morning. Yeah. I was like, "Come on, buddy, let's go, team!" You know, I was like, way chuffed with it. Noelle, what do you do? How do you, not like the planning side, but when you're actually sitting and writing something, how do you go about it?
Every day, right after work, I take about half an hour to myself, and then I spend an hour and write 1,000 words. So that's my writing done for the day. And then on the weekends, I'll do the same. I'll do my 1,000 words, at least in the hour. And sometimes I might throw in an extra hour for like research, or if I'm on a roll, I might do a little bit more. But I generally can get 1,000 to 1,500 in that hour. So
nice.
Yeah.
And do you cut off like all of your phone on airplane and internet?
Yeah, social, nothing. I don't have, if people are pinging me, I ignore all that. That hour is mine to write. That's it.
Yeah, because I found that I found a piece of software called Freedom. I talked about it last week, and when I bought it, it was like $10. I think it's more pricey now, but it goes across all of your devices, and it just shuts off the internet at the routers, so it can't get to you.
Oh,
so everybody else in the house can have the internet, but your devices. No, and you set a time, and you say for the next 120 minutes, no connection. And really, honestly, you don't even feel like going to make a cup of tea because you feel like you're cheating the time because the counter's there. And it really that worked for me in not having those interruptions, because I found I'd nip off, there's a character running through a park in York by a church, and you've made that bit up, and then you think, I wonder which park it is, and then it's like half an hour looking at random parks in York. And then while you're there, something pings on Facebook, and an email comes in. You think, and an hour and a half later, you've got the two-word name of the park, which you're probably going to cut from the scene anyway, and you've done nothing, So I was just like, right, so just put X's in, and then at the end of every day, when I'm having a beer, finish writing, then I go back and research all of the X's that I need to fill in, and I can wander, I can go down holes, and that's fine. Because
I kind of do the same in terms of, I'm quite disciplined, so I don't need to cut off my internet or anything. I just ignore people. I'm quite good at that. But like you, I kind of, instead of, if I come up with a park or something, I'll just put park name, research later, so that I come back to it and I just keep the flow. Because like you, it'd be so easy to go, oh, I wonder what that would look like, and if I could stick this here. And you just go off then on a whole other whim. So,
and you're back into all of that lovely detail that you've just researched because you know what that building looks like, and then you're like, oh, God, who cares? Just make it work.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Rob's into his cloth.
I caught it this time.
Good
I literally held it under the desk so no one would hear.
I bet you did.
The desk isn't soundproof, right?
Let's take the foam off the bottom of it then, haven't I? Guinness-proof, sound-proof desk.
That's really not hiding anything, the foam on the bottom of your desk. It's just... It's a harbour for bacteria. Take it off.
I don't know why I put it there.
I'm not going to come up with suggestions.
I can't think of anything rude to do with that. So.
Oh, God, unbelievable. How can you not think of it? I've got about 17 rude things going through my head about why you would have foam on the underside of your desk. Never mind. Noelle's gone. She's out.
I hosted a Formula One celebration for miniature people under here. That's what happened. And they popped the champagne and all underneath the desk. Is that not what you were thinking?
That you hosted a Dwarf Olympics under your desk?
No, miniature people.
Like Lego characters.
Like the borrowers.
Oh, my God. I don't know what's happening.
It's champagne under here. That's what it is.
It's taken a very odd turn.
My dad knows that I'm, he's a Guinness man. I'm a Guinness. No. He's a Guinness man. I'm a Guinness man. But he knows that. He knows me. I know him, and obviously we're related. This is a long segue to get into this.
We can cut this.
Is this going to bring back Library Steve? Because
no, it's not going to. No, it's not.
Okay.
Don't do that to me. Anyway, right, first things first. Dad sent me a message this morning. It's April the 1st. And he said to me, Rob, do you know that Guinness contains qualities and chemicals that actually repels COVID-19? And I was like, yes, get in. So on the shop, I was like, boom, straight in there. But he's not confirmed to me if it's an April Fool yet. So I'm still here doing my bit for society. So as far as I know.
It does contain iron, so, at least it's a supplement.
Should we tell Noelle about Library Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay.
So we had a... look at Rob's beautiful bookshelves behind him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at these. Oh, there's a bit jewellery. There we go. Look.
Yeah. Holy
so
crap.
we go.
They
go right
go all the way up.
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You need a ladder to get up and down there.
I was going to say, where's that ladder with the wheels?
This came up in one of our tester sessions, which was just us doing this. Again. And it's basically, there was a guy in North Wales who was he bought a mobile library van off of eBay, and he said, I'm trying to sell all the shelves. So if you notice, they're on a slant. So when you go around the corner, they don't fall off. And so this, like, the entire room is earthquake proof, really, where the books are concerned. They can't go anywhere. And so I went to meet this guy to get all these, all the shelves, and he'd ripped them all out, and they were just on the floor of his garage. And he said, "Do you want to see what I'm doing with the van?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I'd like to." So I went inside, and he
Come in my van.
Don't. You ain't heard anything yet.
Because that's exactly what happened.
He did. Like, that's a disgrace. Even I saw it. That's a disgrace. This is not what happened. No. This is not what happened. But I went up the steps into his van, and he was installing. He was making it into a mobile spa. It was a lovely little village library van, mobile library that he'd ripped all the shelves out of. All the books were gone, and he was installing a hot tub and a sauna in this van, which has been effectively
There's all
dubbed.
kind of wrong with that already.
I know.
That's the ultimate dogging vehicle, isn't it?
It really is. Imagine how popular he'd be showing up at one of those.
Got me own hot tub, just in the lay-by of the A36.
Oh, imagine how filthy that water would be.
Yeah,
Oh, stop. We're all in such heightened sensitivity about personal touching now.
Yeah,
Basically,
Maybe it was going to be full of, like, sanitizer. He could be the cleanest man in the world, and we're making fun of him.
no, Jesus. You don't. There's parts of your body you don't need to Dettol, and hot tubbing with Library Steve or whatever his name is. Not really my game.
I think he bought the mobile library van from eBay himself.
Wow.
And he was selling the shelves on eBay. It's a great story. So I went round to his workshop and had a look around this thing, and it was just, I'm looking around it going like, this is just outrageous what you're doing in here. This is a disgrace.
What are all those blow-up dolls for?
They're the life preservers. How heavy is, like, a hot tub full of water? It must be so heavy. It's going to have to reinforce the entire vehicle just to drive it round.
So a litre of water is around a kilogram. Not to mention the actual hot tub.
I mean, I'm thinking of, when you go around a corner too quickly on the A1 and suddenly all the people in your hot tub are like, ah!
I didn't realise that he was going to be driving them around. Cause...
Well, so he gets the enjoyment out of having them all in the back, does he?
Yeah.
So this guy has been affectionately dubbed Library Steve.
I didn't think he was going to be driving them around the A36.
Some people trying to have a nice sauna in the back. And the hot coals and water flying everywhere. Oh, God! Steve, slow down!
And three poor old beers who go, oh, look, the library's back. And being out with a massive grin on their face and no books in there.
No, they wouldn't. No.
They might.
You know.
I love the waggy finger. No.
No. But Library Steve, if you're listening, please tell us what happened. Tell us what happened to your amazing vehicle you were making.
I think we've all seen that channel. Anyway. I'm sorry, Noelle.
Don't be sorry. I needed a good laugh.
Yeah,
I was about to say my mouth is really sore, but probably not a good thing with three guys in the room.
You'd be absolutely fine with Rob and Chris.
Yeah.
You're in safe hands there. Look at them.
Look, literally, when you said that, the first thing in my head was, have you tried Beecham's?
Oh, bless you. I could just see that halo.
Thank you.
Good. Well, I'm very sad that we're not all getting together in Newcastle because, my God, that would have been a funny table.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm sure I could have got Library Steve to do the road trip as well.
Oh, you could have driven us there. That would have been amazing.
I have no contact details for Library Steve. So.
You know where he lives.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. He's got. It was in the North Welsh hills that had and he had one of those garages where it had everything in it. Obviously, apart from a love of books, because he saw the shelves and thought, not for me. I don't want any of this.
These things are getting in the way of my sexy tub.
It's definitely one of those situations where life is at least as funny or stranger than fiction.
Which is one of the questions we had from Twitter.
Oh, yeah, because we had Twitter questions.
Just like the one show, we're straight back into the podcast. Yes. Right, let's do some Twitter questions. Most of these are for Noelle.
Okay.
So we got asked this question last week, so it'll be quite nice for you to. So Steve, I've got him as Steve JG because he's coming off Twitter, but you've read his book, Rob.
Oh yeah, Steve Gold. Yeah, am I allowed to say? I've already mentioned it once. This book is going to do mega things in January. This is the announcement of a major new talent, and I say that dead straight face.
What is the book called?
Oh, Glamour Girl Gone.
Glamour Girl Gone, Steve Gold.
Excellent.
That's what we're doing.
Keep an eye out in January. This is going to knock socks off everywhere.
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're in. As last week, Steve did. What crime in history, so true crime, has caught your attention and interested you a lot?
Oh, gosh. See, I'm a big serial killer fanatic, so loads and loads and loads. But actually, I'm a big, a bit obsessed with Jack the Ripper. So probably that would be the one thing that's always, when I came over to England and when I moved here, I was more excited about doing the Jack the Ripper walk than I was about going to university for my master's. I was just like, oh my God, in London, I get to do a Jack the Ripper walk. So that's probably it. Yeah. So I would say that one just because. Oh, it's fantastic. I did it 3-4 times. Not obsessed at all. I have a whole library of Jack the Ripper books. I'm hugely obsessed with all the conspiracies and theories, and it's just that fascinates me completely.
Wow.
Do you have an idea who in your head? Do you have an idea who you think Jack the Ripper is?
No, they're talking about it being what's his name, Kaminsky, I think his name was, a Polish immigrant who came over just because of the timeline and how everything fit, and they wanted to kind of brush everything under the rug. But there's so many. I actually love the idea of them pointing fingers at people and then saying why. I just love that because nobody knows who he is and nobody can say for definite. So someone told me once that the History Museum in London, the police, they tell you who Jack the Ripper is. They know who he is the minute you walk in the doors, but they had to quash all the evidence and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, really? I don't think so. If you knew that, you just would not sit on that news.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single cold case in the world where somebody would be like, yeah, we're just going to, however many years later. No, sure, it's a secret. You're like, no, I would want to be the detective that goes, I nailed it. Where's my pay rise and my OBE? Thank you very much.
So that's my crime.
That is good crime. That is good crime. So Dan Stubbings asked, how do you get into the minds of your characters?
Everything just kind of comes to me. Like, I still am learning a lot about my characters as I'm writing. I don't have a kind of layout of this is who Maggie Jameson is, or, as things come to me, I actually add it and write it down. But there's probably a little bit of me in every single character, including the serial killers that I write about, because I just, I have a creepy, weird, twisted mind, and it works for crime fiction.
Now you tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, like, see my thumb, right? Last Saturday, I was just finished writing, and I went into the kitchen. Amazon had made a delivery, and I thought, I'll open the box and see what it is. And I picked up a paring knife, like the sharpest knife I have in my freaking drawers. Not sure why, but I did anyways. And as I was cutting the box and opening it, I was thinking, because I had just written a scene about stabbing, and I thought, I wonder what it would feel like to be stabbed. Next thing, the knife is in my thumb, stuck like it was in a block of cheese. And I pulled it out, and then the blood, 3 towels later, 45 minutes.
I saw on your Facebook page the amount of blood. I honestly, both times that popped up on the screen, I had a little vomit in my mouth.
Yeah, but that's how my mind works.
Did you deliberately stab yourself?
No,
because that's how it
sounded like that.
I was actually thinking of a stab in the side, so thank God I didn't do that. But these are the things, and I like.
We would have had to get a new guest. And that would have been really difficult at short notice.
For Raven, he uses loppers. Well, not he, but loppers are used to dismember body parts, and I have loppers. So I was outside in the back trying things to see how easy. Not on a person. There was no body.
A spate of neighbors going missing.
Where's my cat? Here, pussy.
Here's a bit of it.
But I have to try these things to see, is it work? Can it be done? Or especially if you're thinking a woman needs to do something that typically a man might do. Can it be done?
So it's, by loppers, do you mean those, like they're like long scissors, aren't they, outside the garden?
Yeah,
and they've got a severe pincer on the end there, haven't they?
Yeah.
But the long levers gives you a lot of tension.
Oh, yeah, a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
You could definitely get a couple of fingers off.
They just cut right through. So
yeah, they are very satisfying to use.
The problem with the lopper, I always find, is that it can't really get much bigger than, sort of a 5 centimeter diameter, really.
Oh no, you can get these larger ones.
Can you get bigger ones?
Yeah.
Because I then just go for the chainsaw / hedge trimmer. Once we get to a certain point of needing, we are talking about gardening here, right? Not
of course.
Oh, I thought we were still on bodies.
So back to this.
Okay.
What's your favourite disposal method of bodies? Not garbage, obviously. We're back on bodies.
Yeah, I kind of would like to try acid in a vat or lye or, that kind of, that's my next kind of research. I just want to, no, sorry, neighbors. No, I just want to.
Why has she got that lovely enamel bath in the garden?
Come here. But yeah, I think I'd want to try that. I'm also kind of partial to fire. So I'd love to,
but it's not complete enough, is it? Fire leaves a lot of evidence, and we're very good at understanding evidence. But I guess that helps with the case.
Yeah, but you could. There's. I watched this show. I can't remember. It was one of those true crime ones where the body was burnt, or they thought it was burnt, and the ashes were picked up but put in bin bags, kind of like what happened in my book, and the bin bags were just disposed of all over the place. So they never found any, although they knew where the fire took place, there was no evidence
evidence of the corpse,
to link it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah, there was if you like fire getting rid of evidence stuff, I think The Puppet Maker by Danielle Ramsey had some really good incinerated stuff at the end of that one.
Excellent.
Yeah, having access to an incinerator is like a proper industrial one.
Yeah, and really horrid as well.
Well, if the person's alive when they go in, but if they're already dead and you're just talking about getting.
Spoiler alert! I don't want to say which way it went.
Also, the puppet show was that, wasn't it, where he was burning bodies in stone circles?
Yeah.
In fact, the opening of the puppet show is probably one of my favorite. The way Mike describes the body and the guy realizing what's going to happen to him. And just fantastic. So yes,
that was
I think I'll
the Immolation Man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is Mike Craven. The Immolation Man. I know. Oh dear. On Twitter, I mentioned this, but like when we go through this. Do you guys refresh Twitter quite a bit because we've got nothing else to do? I mean, I certainly did for a little bit, and one of the things was I misread isolation once as immolation. And then my timeline became horrible, like, another day self-immolating. Oh, no! Self-immolation. The timeline was full of people just sacrificing themselves with fire. Like, I'm having a great day here. It's like when you hear a song lyric, like, I cannot get... come on, Eileen, I can't. No, it's COVID-19. I can't get it out of my head. It's ruined for me properly. But even with the shout, so when I go outside, I'm in a pub like, COVID-19! I don't even know how to work, And like the dog walks are ruined forever now.
But what's really nice about that is that every wedding we now go to will not have that bloody song played at it with a whole bunch of old uncles handsying their way around the dance floor. Just like that.
Honestly, that is.
I mean, that's the public service.
So accurate.
This is good. This is the tonic. We must laugh when we discuss killing people. Speaking of killing people, your friend and ours, Sharon, has asked you, do you have a kill list? How long is it, and who's on it?
I do have a kill list, and I kind of add people who either have pissed me off. Sometimes I mix their names up, like in Dead Wrong, or it might be the next book. There were a few colleagues throughout my years in probation who I absolutely despised. So I included them as real asshole people, probation officers in the book. But I mix the names up, so it's like it's not the actual person.
So it's like Joris Bonson.
Yeah. It's like a first name and a last name combined. So, and I don't work for them anymore, so I don't really give a shit if they know. But yeah. So
at least they know their cards marked, right?
Yeah. So I do that, and I kind of add people. Like if someone's really pissed me off, I just think, I'm going to kill them, or I'm going to do something really nasty to them. I don't kill everybody. Like I love Lorraine Rugman, just so you know, she's a victim in Dead Wrong. But I didn't kill her because I hate her. I killed her because she was absolutely fantastic when I wrote my debut. So I just thought I'll open the book with her.
Yeah, because sometimes it's nice to kill a good person.
Yes. Yeah. Sharon's not on my kill list yet.
No, she was in the first book, though, wasn't she?
Yes, she is.
She's coming back in book 4.
And
back in book 4.
To be fair, she would be on your kill list if we'd let any of her Brexit questions through, but we didn't, because it's not that kind of not that kind of podcast. Here's another one for you. How does it feel to go from reviewer to reviewed?
Bizarre, really bizarre, because obviously during the day I'm a publicist, so I have authors who get really upset about their reviews sometimes that come through, and you kind of got to talk them through it and say, look, you know, it's no big deal, it's only one person, da, da, da. But then when someone's done that to you, oh my God, the anger, and especially when they've got it wrong. And I think, have you actually read my book? Or they like, I had a reviewer say, oh, this is for Dead Inside, a probation officer working with domestic abusers and being abused, as if that would ever happen. And I thought, hello, it did happen.
Sure.
So things like, it is really, I mean, I do have a thick skin, but it can be really hard. And sometimes I'll send Sharon or Sarah a link going, oh my God, did you see what this asshole just said? And send them link to a review. And they're great because they champion you going, oh, Noelle, screw them. Let's find them on Twitter. You know, so
it's one of my favorite things is to click on their name on Amazon and see what else they've reviewed. We had this with you, Chris, where you're like, I've heard that you guys, you sent me this review. And I was like, well, it was a woman who reviewed jogging pants.
Yeah.
So
generally your book is like the only book they've reviewed, and everything else is like, no,
I think she reviewed mine and Phil Jupitus's and given them both 2 stars, and then everything else was like sweatpants and
these
like
sweatpants get really great.
Yeah, but the book was dreadful.
There is an accolade. There is a quote for your next book there, Chris. At least as good as Phil Jupitus.
Yeah. I mean, slightly better than a carpet mat.
You do have to take it with a kind of pinch of salt, really, because at the end of the day, it is only one person's opinion. And I think you kind of have to remember, in the grand scheme of things, they're not going to convince, thousands of other people not to read your book because of their review.
No, but also adds massive authenticity. If you click on a book and there's like 750 5- and 4-star reviews and no 1s and 2s, then you're like, well, then, these are all... like the marketing has hit a certain demographic of people who really love books.
I love it when I get a constructive review. If it's, I don't care if it's 1 star and it tells me how to get better. That's great. If it's just nasty, I love it. I absolutely love it because it makes me, think, oh, bless them. Oh, and they end up like this. Look, my nice. 1-star review mugs.
Yes,
so my favourites go on these bad boys.
Those are great.
This book is both boring and makes no sense. Don't buy it. When you're having your coffee.
Bravo.
Look at this. 300 words by a fellow author. Ooh.
And that's a 1 star.
And that is, not just a 1 star. It's a 1-star evisceration. Oh, no, he opens it up with 1/2 star if I could.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. But you think, well, those people have taken the time, sometimes up to 30, 40 minutes, to craft a review that is slating you enormously. And you're like, thanks for engaging. Thanks for taking the time. It's only your life you're wasting.
When I see it's a verified purchase, I just think that's even better. So I've taken your money and you hated my book.
And you've got so angry about it, you've taken another hour to figure out logging on to Amazon, having bought enough things to validate yourself as a reviewer, just so that you can go, never buy this. Like pissing in the wind. It brings me to, we wanted to do a little feature because this crops up all the time. Which is called 1-Star Superstar. And Chris has chosen a 1-star review for us.
I have.
That he's going to read to us and we have to guess what book it's for. It better not be one of ours.
It's not. No, I wouldn't guess. Don't go. I've chosen 2 books and you can choose whichever one you want. But one's short and it works quite well because it's already been mentioned actually. So first one. I don't think I had ever groaned aloud when reading a book till this one came along. Somewhere, I read that the film rights had already been taken up. Probably a good thing, retaining the story's germ, but stripping out the jejune prose, don't know what that means, providing actors to give life to characters and dialogue, and deleting the self-indulgent first-person narration, oh so tricksy. In short, eliminating the writer might just make something of it.
Wow. You know that.
No,
puppet show.
well, you were nodding, weren't you?
Was that the puppet show?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, Mike.
It's on. It's on.
He's coming on, Nick.
I thought because of the film, right?
The film was out probably about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe.
Oh, The Girl in the Train?
Yes.
Wow.
Ah.
I liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not seen the film, but the book was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought they were both okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Solid
This is the one that's been mentioned already. And again, the title is Watch the Movie. And it says, I have wanted to read this for years, got halfway through and simply couldn't force myself to go on. It's dreadful, simply awful. The memory of Ellen Brody masturbating in a diner will haunt my dreams.
Get out! Get out! We're not having this. We're not having this. My favourite book of all time. Get out. No, get out.
I entirely disagree with that 1-star review. They obviously haven't understood the...
It's Jaws, right?
Yeah, Jaws, yeah.
Oh, thank God, sorry. This book is amazing. I'm holding it. So when I say this book, I'm this is my favourite of all time.
Do you just keep it by you? Do you keep it by you?
Yes.
I've got it to hand.
I literally do. It's by my writing desk because it's the book that made me want to be a writer. Seriously, I got this copy from Croft Carnival when I was 12, and my mum and dad gave me £1 to go and get pick and mix, and I thought like, I am rich. But like next to it, the on the floor was like a little stall doing secondhand books, and there was this copy of Benchley's Jaws on the front, and I picked it up for 20p. That night I lay in bed reading Jaws, eating pick and mix, and that's when I wanted to be a writer.
So that was probably the sugar rush that's done that to you.
Yes. Never stopped. We just swapped pick and mix for Guinness.
So if your parents had given you 50p, you probably would have been an accountant or something.
Oh, well, actually, I bought 2 books. The other one, possibly. No, if they'd given me something like 47p, which made the sums harder, that would have been.
Yeah, you can tell you're a parent. You need to know how to do the homeschooling thing.
Yeah. No, that's a disgrace.
Well, that's what 1-star reviews are brilliant for that.
Yeah. I've got a few more for the following weeks, some really good ones.
Oh, can't wait.
This is going to be spectacular.
Someone had a go at me for making mine sound like it's... They said it sounds like it's written by a woman. Like, well, the first person...
I saw that, and I thought, what the hell?
How is that a criticism?
Yeah, I was like, surely that's me doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually was really annoyed for you when I saw that review, because I thought... Hey, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
A woman wrote a crime thriller? Oh, my God.
But one of the things we loved, we here at Red Dog loved about your book, Chris, was that you did write an incredibly honest and empathetic female character who, you kind of go, wow, this is, she's got demons and she's got other things going on, but, she's rounded and she's proper and she's like every woman that you would like to meet and would like to work with. And you go, that's brilliant. And I can't see why that's a criticism. You go, well, it made it feel like it was written by a woman. But then there are people who give 1-star reviews going, I don't read books by women.
Yeah. Yeah. But that reviewer was a woman as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. I thought, surely
really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I love how we've all alienated our readership massively. I know. See you later.
And I'm on a deal at the moment in the States, and here I am slagging off reviews. I love it.
We've only alienated the people who don't like things that seem like they're written by a woman. Right. We're going to have to wrap it up. I've got so much editing to do to make this make sense. It's been a pleasure, Noelle, to have you as our first guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Great
really
laugh.
good to hang out with you, Noelle. Really nice to hang
out. I know. I miss my crime boys.
Yay.
We'll be back.
We'll
Bigger
be
and
back.
better than ever. So Library Steve is picking you all up. That's 7 for you.
I wonder what that man was.
Yeah.
Oh, is he there now? Is he there now?
Yeah, you just said some hand or something.
Yeah, he's outside. He's the one who's got that little horn that goes. Library Steve's here. See you, kids.
See you guys in the hot tub later.
Right. Bring your coffees, please. It's not that kind of hot tub. Bye.